Welcome to this special episode of Mayor Brown's Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations with Michael Levy and Andrew Olmem, our weekly 5-minute perspectives for in-house counsel and government affairs executives on the most important and challenging issues surrounding congressional investigations. I'm Michael Levy, former federal prosecutor and white-collar defense lawyer at Mayor Brown. My colleague, Andrew Olmem, is a former Republican chief counsel on the Senate Banking Committee. This week, we're taking a timely look at a fairly novel, but not entirely unprecedented situation. A United States Senate that is evenly divided, with 50 senators voting with the Republican caucus and 50 senators voting with the Democratic caucus, and the vice president casting the deciding vote in the event of a tie. After a month of back and forth, during which the Democrats actually controlled the Senate, but the Republicans continued to chair the Senate committees, both parties agreed on February 3rd to an organizing resolution governing the operation of the Senate during this 50-50 split. Andrew, what do you think this 50-50 tie will mean for the Senate overall, and particularly for congressional investigations?
Well, the first thing it means, Michael, is that the organizing resolution that you just mentioned is a lot more complicated. And it's why we're having this broadcast in February and not January. And one of the key issues is how to handle committees where seats are traditionally allocated proportionally to the overall party representation in the Senate. Now, in a 50-50 Senate, that creates a problem because a majority vote is usually needed for a committee to report out a bill or a nomination to the Senate floor, and the vice president does not vote in committee. Now, to ensure that the 50-50 Senate can continue to function, Schumer and McConnell have negotiated an organizing resolution that provides that in cases where there's a tie vote on reporting a bill or a nominee to the Senate floor, the majority or the minority leader can motion for the full Senate to vote on whether to have the measure put before the full Senate for a decision. This is an important procedure for the functioning of the Senate overall, and it also, though, could technically impact congressional investigations, although as you'll see, the scenarios are probably pretty limited. So, for example, under the Senate Banking Committee's rules, investigations and the issuance of subpoenas normally require either the consent of both the chair and the ranking member of the committee or a majority of the committee. Accordingly, if the committee deadlocks along party lines, then a committee may have to have the full Senate approve the investigation or the subpoena. In practice, however, most investigations proceed informally without official authorization and without issuing subpoenas, especially with respect to investigations of private parties as opposed to the executive branch. Further, as we've discussed in prior episodes, rarely do committees need to resort to the issuing of a subpoena to obtain the information they need. And if they do, often both parties support the investigation, so a chair can secure the needed support of the ranking member or the support of a majority of the committee. It would only be in the rare case where there is a partisan divide at the committee and the committee chair cannot obtain the information from a party without issuing a subpoena. It's only in that situation would you see the chair need to bring the matter before the full Senate. Now, the more immediate impact of the organizing resolution for congressional investigations is actually that the organizing resolution allows the party leaders to appoint the members of the relevant committees for the 117th Congress, and most importantly, to determine the committee chairs, the members most responsible for conducting congressional investigations. And these appointments are now public. For the Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee, the chair will be Gary Peters of Michigan, and the ranking member will be Rob Portman of Ohio. While HISCAC has yet to formally or officially organize and select its committee members, subcommittee members, it's widely expected that Tom Carper of Delaware will chair the permanent subcommittee on investigations, and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin will be its ranking member. Sherrod Brown of Ohio will be the chair of the Senate Banking Committee, while Senator Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania will be its ranking member. Besides its impact on the organization of the Senate, it's also important to note, Michael, that the 50-50 Senate could also impact future investigations, and particularly the number of them. Indeed, potentially the most significant consequences of an evenly divided Senate is that members of the majority party could decide to conduct more investigations due to the difficulty of passing legislation. As we've discussed before, such investigations can help a member of Congress build the factual and public support for legislation, or just simply draw attention to an issue which some members consider which some members would consider to be a better use of their time than battling against the odds to pass legislation. Now, it's unclear right now, as we speak in February, on whether or not this dynamic will come to bear in this Congress, but it's certainly a dynamic worth watching over the next year and a half.
Yeah, no, I think the dynamic is a very interesting one. And even right now, we're seeing an example of what appears to be pretty bipartisan concern about an issue as it relates to some of the recent market volatility, the role of social media, the role of hedge fund and other investors. And that kind of a bipartisan situation often, as we've discussed, creates the most difficult and sensitive investigations to try to handle as a lawyer in private practice for private entities. Certainly knowing the rules, as you discussed, is helpful, but also understanding the practical impacts. So with that, there's a lot more to learn, but thank you for joining us for this special episode of Quick Insights on Congressional Investigations. We will be back again next week with our more standard format. And in the meantime, if you want to watch any or all of our earlier episodes, you can find them at mayorbrown.com/Congressional Investigations videos. Thanks.
Thanks.